That shit is weak, God. Free. Excuse you. What you doing? That shit's a get over, dude. I don't want to hear audible originals. Due to the fact that another ain't know. That's the only book I would get to listen to, cause that's should have got dope feet. But for those who sat and listened to that book with me, backstory on that book, Sarai, or my love for that book. Had a lady friend once upon a time named Sarai, and that was her favorite book, and she dedicated it to me. Man. And that book was her and me like a motherfucker. That was us. I liked it, her voice with reading though. And I like the way she spelled her name. Bonnie, Bahni. Who wants to tell me a bedtime story? Ladies, not no nigga. That's What? He donated 100 million. Okay, that's what's up. But nigga, it's too late. Cause so many niggas that died behind your motherfucking Jordans. So many niggas have died. Real life shit. I gotta see this. I gotta find out about this. I just heard about this shit.
Hey folks, I'm Joe Biden. I'd like to ask you to join my campaign. As I've said time and again, we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. And that means not only defeating Donald Trump, but also taking big, bold actions to help Americans who are struggling.
We're doing DoorDash. We have food. It's $3.55. Yeah, thank God.
That shit's crazy. Of course they were.
All right, pop quiz. Do you know which countries have the highest carbon emissions?
That's it. Okay. Well, a nigga got held at gunpoint. Where's my watch later section though? Yeah.
Politics video, feel me? 2-1 it. We got the scenes, man. Yeah, we got the coat in the building, man. Going viral. Shout to 24/7 Jet, man. They the coldest out here right now.
Hey, cause you playing with my gang, and I got niggas that didn't die for this, it's obvious. He ain't tryna crip me while he robbing it, I'm tired of this. Full down to this, you some probably shit you fraudulent. Watch you politic, tiny rapping shit I shoot to. Me and 2-3, bitch, I'm Scotty, hit that chopper, make his body flip. Told you can't fuck with us, no nigga lot. Stop in this church, watch you knuckle up. Hot nigga, no stuff with us, I'm a fucking bust. No disgust, I'm a load it up. They gon' know the stuff like 40 bucks, it's politics. Niggas ain't never dropping shit, but you know they homies like the opposite. It's fucking quick as politics. Nigga, I see niggas begging.
You're in a light. What's like doing this like the talking one, yeah. Like,
Nigga, you made it look like you really got DP'd in the motherfucking video, but you didn't. That's straight up. That's crazy.
that cool?
I got no tolerance, it's obvious. I'm sorry,
Yes, sir. Hell yeah.
no copycat, no copy this, I don't get it. I am not for that, I am not your bitch who raised club. It's not for this, it ain't my this, it's politics. You turn up on the homies like the opposite, I'm tired of this, it's politics. Ay, cause you playing with my gang, and I got niggas that ain't have it, it's not me.
That one more time. Yeah. Coldest of all time. Look, y'all know I was getting G. Y'all put my boxers on backwards.
OG, we are not playing with this, man. Stop playing.
We not playing, man.
Hey, show them the script, man. Show them the script.
You see? Eat So, you feel me? Shooting a remaking South Central intro. We got OG Savvy Johnson. I'll look for you. So when you coming up there, I'm fresh out, you can tell that. As long as we present that, they can tell that I'm fresh out. You know what I'm saying? That's the main objective, is getting them to know that I'm fresh out of jail. You know what I'm saying? That's the main thing. Towards the end of the video, it's gonna be really like I got punched on.
It'll look better when it's actually in color.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, it look like I punched on, MC? Alright, let's make it look real.
All that.
I'm not about to, no.
Why not?
Because you're a well-known face with me.
Y'all can pack me out. I get DP. Nigga. Everybody get DP. Ain't nobody bigger than the program.
That's why I'm getting DP'd in the second verse.
That's the point. You said I'll be a well-known nigga. You said nobody bigger than the second verse.
Oh, baby, I'm getting DP'd. She giving me she punching on me right now.
Punched on.
We should have said that
You're doing
earlier.
him right after you got hit, right?
Yeah, right.
So if I do anything darker than that, it's going to represent a bruise after a few days.
Okay. Can I see it? A little darker, you think it'll be...
All right. 3, 2, hey, get serious.
Action. Go ahead. You got serious, nigga.
Skin slap. You're not talking to him. Yeah, you guys go slow with it, bro. Like, actually,
And then it'd be like pretty much like.
Yeah. And the next shot, he gonna be on the floor. Okay. Niggas gonna know.
Hard ass shot. Make that face like I see.
Smack. Stay right here.
On me, bro.
Cover that left eye. So you gonna stay straight like that. Make serious, bro. 3, 2, 1, go ahead.
Oh, what's that? How is that?
Actually, back up a little bit. On this one, bro, hey, let me clock back. Go slow though, go slow. Not too slow. They gonna be like, 1, go ahead.
Ooh. Oh, what's
hey, cut. Hey, we got all y'all in the back.
Fuck.
God damn, nigga, y'all fucking up the show.
Action.
Now.
Just shot.
Trip, everybody. Oh, shit. Yeah. Come on, dog. One more time. Yeah.
Got it.
Hey.
Throw it up. Take it back, huh?
You gotta jump for the sun. Tell the girl, listen, you gotta tell girl like this. Like, you gotta talk to her like a nigga, though.
There we go.
Get him out of here!
Yeah. I wasn't ready. Pick me up.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah. Perfect. Fight back. Gotta fight back.
This is all fake nothing. Wasn't nobody really tough. Boy, that's some good acting.
Black church in South Georgia and shoots a beloved couple to death. This photo, acquired by the Atlantic Journal-Constitution, shows Harold and Thelma Swain.
Well, Harold and Thelma Swain were very active members of the Rising Daughter Baptist Church family. On the night they were killed, they were there at the church for a Bible study and mission meeting. Thelma took the minutes, and Harold was a deacon there at the church.
For 35 years, authorities failed to match DNA evidence found at the crime scene to any of the suspects, not even to Dennis Perry, the man now serving 2 life sentences for the murders. Now Perry's lawyers say new DNA testing casts doubt on his conviction, and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation has reopened the case.
The new DNA evidence ties a man named Eric Spar to the crime scene, according to
The right to challenge authority and government is fundamental to who we are as Americans. We do not need anyone, including the president, to try to sow further divide, further distrust, and misinformation. The threat to invade Seattle, to divide and incite violence in our city, is not only unwelcome, it would be illegal. One of the things this president will never understand is that listening to community is not a weakness. It is a strength. A real leader would see nationwide protests, the grief with so many communities of color, particularly our Black communities, and the call to be an anti-racist society is an opportunity for America, an opportunity to build a better nation, I also want to be
Because I
clear.
thought you wanted to make America motherfucking great.
It is
Instead, you'd rather fill it with all this motherfucking hate.
to send military to Seattle. If you don't
Don't be
believe
mad
me,
when somebody
you
set
can
your
take
ass
the word
straight.
of a line of highly decorated generals who have said so
Well,
and
you're
have
no longer
rebuked him.
president, your ass. Will be
I
on
have
a
spoken
plane.
with Governor Inslee, and together we will assure the people this will not be happening.
For those living with diabetes, heart disease, and chronic
transaction in Alaska. Says he's not expecting trouble, but wants some reliable security just in case.
That's crazy. This nigga really did this just to go take a picture during all this shit. That's crazy. That's really crazy.
fired at,
It's your motherfucking
gassed,
kid, man.
and shoved. On June 1st, President Trump threatened military action to quell unrest that has spread since the killing of George Floyd, a black man in police custody.
I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters.
As he spoke, a remarkable scene unfolded outside the White House. Police in riot gear fired gas canisters and used grenades containing rubber pellets to scatter largely peaceful demonstrators. Their actions cleared the way for the president to cross Lafayette Square Park and walk to the historic St. John's Church for a photo op. The Washington Post analyzed hours of video footage from protest participants and media and obtained audio and transcripts of police communications and other records to assemble the most complete account to date of the crackdown, including the roles of the agencies involved and the tactics and weaponry they used. At 5 p.m., 2 hours before a citywide curfew, protesters gathered along 8th Street Northwest between 15th and 17th Streets on the edge of Lafayette Square. The park sits directly north of the White House. Because of the protest, it is closed to the public. About an hour later, law enforcement and military forces began massing in large numbers. One group that includes Secret Service assembled behind a barricade on the northern perimeter of the park. Another group forms a line in the middle of the park, close to a command center run by the United States. This group includes members of the D.C. National Guard. Till 8 p.m., protesters near H and 16th Streets spot Attorney General William Barr near the command center. General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, is seen behind the barricade several minutes later. Protesters erupt in cheers when some security forces appear to take a knee. It quickly becomes clear that soldiers are kneeling only to pull on gas masks. On a DC police radio channel, officers are told that CS gas, a form of tear gas, may soon be deployed. At 6:18, Secret Service members advance onto H Street. They briefly push into the public street, but pull back. Some protesters throw eggs, candy bars, and water bottles. The footage reviewed by the Post did not show protesters throwing bricks or caustic liquids, as authorities have alleged. A radio transmission 3 minutes later captured law enforcement officials checking on the status of grenadiers, a term for law enforcement personnel armed with launchers that fire chemical canisters or other projectiles used for crowd control.
John, can you just confirm when you have all the grenadiers and shield bridges?
At 6:22, Barr and Milley leave Lafayette Square. A voice on a loudspeaker briefly cuts through the noise. The announcement appears to come from the southeast part of the park. Even on the front lines of the protest, in footage reviewed by the Post, the words are drowned out. Protesters turn to one another in confusion. 4 minutes later, a DC police official tells officers that some type of police action is about to take place. He instructs DC police to hold their positions on 16th Street. At 6:28, an alert comes through on a different police radio channel being used by officers from Arlington County, Virginia, who are taking directions from Park Police.
Command to talk, level 1's been activated. Copy, level 1 activated 1828.
Level 1 refers to a policing tactic aimed at quelling violent unrest with as little force as possible. It involves dispersing crowds by moving rapidly toward them, avoiding physical contact. At that moment, along the northern edge of Lafayette Square, National Guard and other law enforcement forces move north toward the barricade. At least one protester throws water bottles. Another yells at the crowd to remain peaceful. The Secret Service and Park Police begin to push a group of protesters up Vermont Avenue. Park police officers on horses appear from the northeast corner of Lafayette Square. Members of the Bureau of Prison Special Operations Response Team, identified by their patches, are soon seen arriving at the barricades. The unit is trained to put down riots and resolves hostage situations in federal prisons. They are rarely deployed in public. They are among several groups armed with pepperball guns and canister launchers. The canister launcher seen here can fire a projectile that breaks on impact, expelling irritant powder. If fired directly at a person, the canister can cause serious injury or even death. The pepperball gun seen here fires small balls of a chemical irritant derived from hot peppers. A metal canister is seen here on the vest of law enforcement. The orange markings on the canister match those of tear-inducing chemical grenades. At 6:32, officers received the orders to push back the largest group of protesters, the group on H Street. They advance on the crowd. The protesters retreat. The police line stops next to St. John's Church. A Park Police sergeant, identified by his white helmet, warns a protester.
Now! Let him back up! I need... You're doing point down!
At 6:35 on H Street, Park Police officers rush again toward the protesters. Other officers quickly follow. A chemical grenade is rolled. It is unclear by whom. A large explosion is heard. CNN cameras filming the scene from above show the crowd turning and running. A Park Police officer strikes an Australian cameraman with a shield and grabs his camera. Another officer is seen swinging a baton at reporters' back as she and the cameraman flee. Park Police push a group of protesters west on H Street. A protester films pepper balls fired toward the crowd. They can be heard striking the ground.
Keep moving. Keep moving. They got pepper balls. Keep moving.
A member of the Park Police SWAT team throws a sting ball grenade into the crowd. The devices are designed to explode, firing rubber balls in a radius of up to 50 feet. Several Park Police SWAT team members and a member of the Bureau of Prisons tactical team are seen firing pepper balls into the fleeing crowd.
Stop shooting them! Why are you shooting us?
In a matter of minutes, the skirmish line surges past St. John's Church. Police pause a few feet beyond the intersection. On camera, a Park Police officer wearing a yellow helmet is seen gesturing at officers to hold the line at 16th and H Street Northwest. A minute later, on 16th Street, a Park Police SWAT team officer crouches down to roll a chemical grenade toward the protesters.
Tear gas bomb right at our feet. We're going to move back from this right now.
Arlington units, we are going all the way to I Street. Copy I Street.
A line of at least 12 mounted park police officers are deployed to disperse the crowd. At 6:44, the president begins to speak in the Rose Garden. He's minutes away from leaving the White House to go to the church.
My fellow Americans, my first and highest duty as president is to defend our great country and the American people.
Outside, officers detain protesters. Officers push protesters more than a block west along H Street to 17th Street, where the protesters are forced south. Yellow smoke rises from 2 chemical grenades thrown onto the street. Although police and White House officials have denied that it was used, a WUSA 9 television reporter at the intersection recovered a spent canister labeled CS, a substance commonly known as tear gas. He later posted a photograph of it on social media. CNN airs a shot directly above St. John's Church, showing the square, which had been packed with protesters at the start of the hour. It is empty, except for law enforcement officials. At 7:02, President Trump walks out of the White House, accompanied by Barr, Milley, and Mark Esper, the Secretary of Defense. They begin to walk across Lafayette Square for the 3-minute photo op.
Is that your Bible? Your Bible?
When the mobs came, they abandoned us. Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. The nation went up in flames this week. No one in charge stood up to save America. Our leaders dithered, they cowered, they openly sided with the destroyers. In many cases, they egged them on. Later, they will deny doing any of this. They're denying it now. But you know the truth because you saw it happen. This is how nations collapse. When no one in authority keeps order, when so many
Nigga, the nation is already
violent, American citizens are forced to defend themselves. They have no choice. No one else is going to defend them. They know that now. It's possible that more people will be hurt in coming days. That would be the tragedy. But in an environment like this, more violence could very well lead to a cascade of new tragedies. Something far bigger and more destructive than anything we have seen so far. If this isn't over, it might simply be the beginning. We pray it isn't. It's hard to think clearly about anything that's going on right now. The chaos, the destruction, the relentless lying from above. It's all too much. Americans are bewildered and they are afraid, but most of all, they are filled with rage, angrier than they have ever been. The worst people in our society have taken control. They did nothing to build this country. Now they are tearing it down. They are rushing us toward mass suicide. So how do we respond? We must protect ourselves and